What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kings Court podcast presented to you by RateCrushers.com. I'm your host, Vince Miracle, and it's been about 2 weeks since I've done a podcast with you guys, so you know I couldn't come back without having a guest with me, and this one's pretty special to me. It's my boy, Leo Beas from Cowbell Kingdom. Leo, who's the little man on in your hands right there?
That's right, man. He's eating. He's healthy, thank God, and I'm excited to be back, bro.
Yeah, man, it's been too long since you and I got to do a little bit of Kings discussions. You know what I mean? This is odd for me for not being able to speak with you for as long as I have about just the Kings and things like that. So I'm excited for this conversation today with Media Day coming around the corner. But away from just the baby, I know you've been able to stay close with a lot of the Kings news. What has been like the word around the street, like from the people from your podcast and people that you talk to? Like, what's the feel going into training camp right now in your mind?
I think the consensus is that it's pretty positive, right? You see all the stuff on social media, and it's nothing but good vibes. De'Aaron Fox got married recently. I think most of the team were there. And then recently with the picture of Vivek, his daughter, and it's just good vibes right now. But this may sound controversial or more of like a negative Nancy, but I don't care about any of that. If they don't win, that doesn't matter to me. I like nice guys. I like wins more.
Wait. So you're saying that you don't, it's not about wins. You have to win this season. The Kings have to win this season is what you're saying.
Yeah, like everyone wants to talk about, oh, this environment is so good, the culture. I'm like, the culture isn't good. The culture won't be good until they win games. I don't care what they're posting on social media. I don't care if it's Vivek's daughter and her birthday and everyone's out to dinner and everyone's spouses. That doesn't matter because at the end of the day, everybody is 0-0. And if this team starts to lose, guess what? Those things, those little postings, they won't exist anymore. So, yeah, it's cool and all. But at the end of the day, it comes down to wins, man. And that's how you define the culture. That's how you can say, okay, now this is a real positive culture. Because at the end of the day, if you see teams like the Miami Heat, world-class organization, those guys are always cursing at each other, but they hold each other accountable. Like all this fluff on social media, it's nice, but without wins, it's irrelevant to me, bro. Like it's been 16 years. Like all that stuff, I don't care for it anymore. I used to care for it. I don't anymore.
Yeah, man. I think for me, it's there's obviously everyone knows that this is a season where the Kings, I believe, have the clearest shot to making at least the play-in. And I think that's the big step forward, is at least the play-in. I'm excited to see if the Kings can take that step, but it feels heading into this training camp unlike most, where there is that sense of, oh, there's a chance. Oh, we are moving in the right direction. It seems as if the Kings have finally said, we're putting our foot down. We're creating an identity. And I know an identity is formed on the court, but at least prior to the court, you need at least to have a blueprint, a game plan, a map to where you're going to be. And it seems they said, last season, we want to pair De'Aaron Fox with an all-star. They reached out. They got Domantas Sabonis. They said, okay, we've addressed that, but we also got rid of shooting. So let me bring in as many shooters as I can get with getting Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, and Keegan Murray, right? So they have addressed that as well. So I think it comes down to, we now have a game plan, and it's about just seeing the steps forward. Obviously, I think the defense is still going to be a huge struggle, and that will probably
100%.
be the next step in their development. And I'm not saying that this is a development year. I agree with you. I think wins matter. But I think the biggest takeaway you have to see this upcoming season, and we'll talk about this throughout the entire year, is just the steps forward in terms of the careers, or in terms of the Kings franchise, and stop being a laughing stock in the league. I think you agree with me on that.
Yeah, they'll be competitive, and as I said yesterday, they're gonna struggle defensively, right? There isn't a true three on this roster right now, and people say, "Oh, go get Jay Crowder." I'm like, Jay Crowder just like HB. He's a 4. He's been a 4 for the last 4 years now. Like he's not a 3. and they can make up some of that with their really good shooting, at least on paper. But they're going to struggle defensively for sure.
Yeah, man. I think that the conversation for Jay Crowder is mainly just due to the idea of,
Depth.
yeah, just depth and addressing the defensive need. I mean, Jay Crowder would automatically come in and be able to slide into a 3-4 role, give the ability to Keegan Murray to, develop coming off the bench and things like that. So I don't see that as a bad thing for the Kings to reach out and see
Yeah,
if
for sure.
that's an option. But let's just go ahead and jump right on into what the title of the show is. And there's questions that need to be addressed heading into the Kings training camp. And I think a lot of them have been talked about just enough. So I think we can go ahead and jump this conversation off with the debate of who is the starting five in your mind. And I think it comes down to Malik Monk and Keegan Murray. So Leo, before I get your thoughts, this is mine. I think the starting lineup should be De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Herter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis. Are you on that same page, or do you think Malik Monk should be in that starting lineup?
Yeah, so everybody but Herder. So I would just swap Malik Monk in there for my starting five.
Yeah, I think you came on this show when the move happened, stating that you believe that he wouldn't have left the Lakers if it wasn't for the fact that he was guaranteed a starting role with the Kings. That's correct, right?
100%. I mean, you don't leave LeBron James, Anthony Davis when they need shooting. Like they still need shooting. They went out and they got Lonnie Walker, who I love by the way, but he's a pitiful shooter. He's abysmal. So that doesn't make any sense
They got Dennis
for
Schroeder now.
Malik, another guy that can't shoot. So
They
yeah,
got Pat Bev
no,
now.
I mean another guy that can't shoot. So yeah, I don't see how at least he doesn't start on opening night, and then if Kevin outperforms him, as I've said in the past and on your previous show, that's the only way. That's the best case for me. And again, as I said yesterday, you don't want to rough some feathers up early on, man. Egos are in the way right now. They're both young. Kevin's come off the bench before in Atlanta. I don't see why he wouldn't, buy into that right now, especially pairing with Davion Mitchell off the bench.
I just think that with Malik Monk, so let's first look at actually Herter. So with Kevin Herter, the reason why I think Kevin Herter is an automatic start is you wouldn't have tied a first round pick that handcuffed you to another
It doesn't
franchise
matter.
unless you're gonna
It doesn't matter.
really view him as a starter. His ability to pass the ball, knock down open threes, play within a flow of an offense, I think makes him more viable as a starter. And on top of that, as much as I think Malik Monk is a better offensive player overall than Kevin Herter, I do think that he does need the ball in his hands a lot more in terms of being effective. And I think next to a guy like Davion Mitchell, where you can take the ball out of Davion's hands, he's okay with sitting in that corner and knocking down that three. We saw the development of that corner three-pointer toward the end of last season. To put the ball in Malik Monk's hand and say, hey, this is your time. That used to be Buddy Rolls as a shooter. Now you're going to have Malik Monk as a scorer. And I think that's where I view Malik Monk as being a very efficient and effective player for the Kings coming off the bench. But regardless
Mm.
aside, I think we all head into this camp looking at this Kings team and viewing it as a battle for a starting role, and not just for that two spot. Keegan Murray is in that battle. Did he earn a starting role because he was drafted number 4 because of how well he looked in the Classic and in Summer League, or and did he is he walking into that, or is it a full on battle to maybe there's even a chance we see a Kevin Herter, Malik Monk both in the starting lineup, and it's Keegan Murray coming off the bench?
So real quick to address what you said about you think Davion will be essentially like your spot up, small two. I think like for me, the way I see it is the reason why I would love more of a Kevin Herter pairing is because as both you and I have said, he's a better playmaker than Malik Monk. So I like that more, as a pairing with Davion, who is an elite defender, at least an elite on ball defender, sorry. And I like that pairing more than a guy who is known to want to score the ball and Davion because he's not a very good playmaker, not yet. So that's why I like, again, Herter and Davion off the bench, and then obviously you have the chemistry already with Monk and Fox. So that's why I would go in that direction as well. But to answer your question about Keegan, I just don't see who else would start. Like, obviously, we both agree that HB's a 4, but at the end of the day, who's your 3 on this roster? So by default, I feel like Keegan has to start.
Yeah, I mean, you have the guy Bass in the chat right now saying Barnes is a small forward. Bass never goes
No, he's
away.
not.
He thinks Harrison Barnes is the small forward that is going to be the for the Sacramento Kings. And I think as of right now, if you look at the roster, that like you said, by default, that is that player. You can continue to have people outside of this conversation say, because of the height of Kevin Herter,
Mm-hmm.
he can play small forward. But just because the Kings have gone through those stages where they've had the tweeners, the in between type of
Yep.
players, and I've seen plenty of that to know that that doesn't work. You know what I mean? That's just not
It
the
doesn't.
direction where I think the Kings need to be looking and saying, "Oh yeah, that'll be the thing for me." You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem logical in my opinion since we've already seen that type of train and seen what road that goes down. So identifying if Keegan is there, I think you're right. I think that just becomes the logical option there, unless the player that we keep seeing this offseason in Chimezi Metu is that guy. Maybe Chimezi Metu earns that role. Maybe Trey Lyles, who they brought back, earns that role. Do you see
Nah.
any? Maybe it's a bigger competition than we think.
I can see Metu fighting for that spot. I'm a huge fan of his game. He's very smooth and athletic. Um, but Trey Lyles, I'm not into that. Not yet, at least. He hasn't shown enough for me. But Metu, I can see that. It just for Mike Brown to be like, okay, you're the number 4 pick. Okay, cool. People think I'm just gonna give you the starting role. Here's a competition. But to me, a competition goes two ways. In training camp, in practice, right? You get enough reps with both teams. Maybe that's fair. But I don't see how it can be fair if you say whoever performs better during preseason will win the job, because we all know this. You don't always get the same amount of reps with the 3 best players, and 3 best players obviously Fox, Sabonis, and HB. So that's where I get confused on when coaches say, "Well, it's open for competition." Like, but sometimes say Malik Monk plays with the bench players, he may not look as good with the bench players and he will with the starters. That makes sense to you?
Well, yeah, I mean the chemistry between Fox and Monk, I think, is going to be tested early. They want to see if that's still there from their college days, as well as just seeing if, you know, the progression of what Monk was able to show with the Lakers. Like we can't forget that also Monk was struggling. Like this was a spot with the Lakers where he found a role off the bench for the Lakers where he became that good player. And look, man, I think that it's I think it's good for the Kings to go in there knowing that they have these options like a Metu, like a Trey Lyles, even like look even Bass, like a Harrison, like a Kent Bazemore, or even a Rashawn Holmes. Like Rashawn Holmes was the Kings starter at one point. Will the Kings even look back into the option of trying a big man
They might.
set between Sabonis and Holmes? Maybe that's why we're seeing so much of Sabonis looking to shoot this offseason and looking to practice on that jumper. And look, we've seen him be at least somewhat effective next to Jonas Valanciunas in EuroLeague. You know what I mean? So maybe
I can
that's an
see
open to
that.
the competition.
I can see that, man. I can definitely see a starting lineup of Holmes and Sabonis. Like that's not out of the question, especially going back to Mike Brown and historically speaking, looking at his lineups and then seeing how Sabonis has been playing with a guy like Valanciunas. I think it works, man. On paper, I've always said that. Rashawn erases his deficiencies on defense. He's a good perimeter switcher. He's a very good weak side rim protector. Obviously undersized for the position, but Sabonis clears up all rebounding issues. Elite rebounder there. I think on paper, again, we didn't see enough of it because of the tough year that Rashawn had just as a human being, right? Like I think we forget that these guys are human beings, and the whole custody battle, the fact that they poked out his eye, like I don't think people talk enough about that. Like they rip like stuff inside his eyeball, and then COVID like 2 times, I think. So he went through a lot last year, and even some people that may think, oh, he got lazy because he got paid. Nah, it's just life happened, man, and like life happens to all of us, right? Like we all have downs and ups and downs. So, and I know Rashawn right now. Just speaking to him recently, he's so motivated, he's so inspired, and as they say, stay 22, stay 22, and like he's ready to have another breakout year, he says. So I'm interested to see that from him.
And I think people need to remember, like, it's not always about who starts the game; it's about who finishes. I mean, we talk about the starting lineup because it is a great conversation starter into seeing how the
Sure.
Kings could, mix and match with a lot of these guys. This is the first time I think in a very long time, probably since the Isaiah Thomas, Rudy Gay, DeMarcus Cousins season, where you look at this roster and see actual depth that can help you in their own ways. Not saying that the depth is as good as the Clippers or the Boston Celtics, but
Yeah.
knowing that these type of players can come in there and fill a legit role and fill a need for you on any given night. Whether it is like you can look at a more recent sighting like a Kent Bazemore that will come in there, coming back to Sacramento and bringing a defensive type of shooting player, energy guy that a fan favorite type of person known for his Bays
Eh,
gaze, like what I mean, like just
I
those.
don't think he plays much.
I don't think
I don't.
so
I don't
either.
think.
I don't think so
Yeah.
either. But I'm just
I
saying, like,
like.
you can look at the depth of this team and say you see
Yeah.
where you can find fits. Like that could be that old Corey Brewer position, or you don't see him a lot, 8 to 10 minutes a game here or there, could potentially miss some time, but you know he's there to fill a role, and I think this Kings team has legit talent at each position right now, where it's very interesting to see what they're going to do and how they're going to address training camp and the starting role, because I think there is a competition there, and I think it is good for the team to stay competitive and to take that next step as players to see who's the leaders and who's ready to step up in big games.
So you mentioned Bazemore. I don't think he should play at all. And honestly, if it came down to him or KZ Akpala, is that how you say his name?
Yeah,
Um,
he's not getting
I
enough
would
minutes either.
play. That's the thing, though. Just knowing what I know about him, if you're gonna play someone 8 to 10 minutes, I'd rather see him over Bazemore. I know what I have in Bazemore, and it's not enough for me to give him 8 minutes a night, 10 minutes a night. I'd rather have a legit 3-4 like a KZ who's unproven, but who's very athletic, very long, fits that modern day 3-4. Like I'd rather take a flyer on that because for those 8-10 minutes, he's gonna bring energy. Like if you need someone to bring energy, he can do that. He's done that with the Miami Heat, a world class organization. I'm done with the Corey Brewers, with the Bazemores. Like I'm done with that, bro. Like these are mediocre players. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they're players that fill a need. Like, hey, bring out the better side at any practice game to see what to push the main guys to being better. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we're gonna see heading into this next one. I want to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by RateCrushers.com. At the end of this 15-second break, I want to see what Leo says about my upcoming debate between who this franchise should be labeled, or which player should be labeled as this franchise center player, franchise player. We'll talk about that right after the break. Remember, guys, ratecrushers.com, whether it's going to be for homeowners, renters, motorcycle, boat, car, leisure, whatever your insurance needs are, the brokers over at Rate Crushers have you covered. Man, it's been so long since I did a podcast. I keep fumbling over my words over here, Leo. Man, 14 days
I did
off.
the exact same thing yesterday, bro. I was like, welcome to the CK podcast. I was like, what am I doing?
People don't understand, like, this I mean, as easy as it looks, and I mean, it's talking, it's getting to have
Yeah,
conversations, it's trying to keep a conversation going. As easy as that looks, it can get hard sometimes. And when you're trying to
and
do these reads, if you don't do it for just a little while, it's like you're a little rusty. And I'm showing
it's
my
like
rust
shooting a
today,
jump shot. It's like shooting a jump shot. Like if you don't play for 2 weeks, you might be rusty the first game.
dude. I can't believe how badly I butchered that. RateCrushers.com, guys. Go there for all your insurance. They're beating up the competition up to 35%. As we are back here on the Kings Court with Leo Beas of Cowbell Kingdom, we're discussing a big questions heading into Kings training camp, which starts next week. Media Day being on Monday, September 26th. Leo, man, I think I have a big question for you because I know how big of a De'Aaron Fox supporter you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think De'Aaron Fox is a really good player, but here's my question to you. And I put this in for a big debate, I think on my last video before this one, which is we've seen De'Aaron Fox be the guy that he is, been known as the franchise centerpiece. He was given the keys to this franchise, but then they brought in a two-time All-Star. And I think a lot of the focus now is just how good Sabonis is, the things that he can do. And look, you bring in a guy with Mike Brown who has shown that his offense is built through like a horns type of offense. A lot of Princeton, a lot of giving the ball to your big to make things happen. Heading into this season and knowing that De'Aaron Fox is on a are you the guy, are you not the guy type of position that he's in because of the career that he's had here in Sacramento, who should we view as the Kings quote unquote franchise player heading into this season? Because right now, I think there is a strong debate that Domantas Sabonis is that guy.
From all the accolades, he is the guy, right? If you just
Yeah.
go based off of that, 100%, you can't even argue that. I'd be silly to say anything else. But yeah, I for the Kings to take that next level, because we've seen Sabonis as the best player, right? And definitely the Pacers teams have been playoff teams, but Fox has the ability, the upside to be really good, right? Like that modern day guard. And the Kings need him to be the franchise player. So I know I'm not answering the question, but if we go off of accolades, it's Sabonis. If we go off of what this team needs Fox to be the head of the snake. And Mike Brown said that plenty of times in this press conference, right?
Yeah, I think Fox and the word upside continues to be the thing that leans me to want to be on De'Aaron Fox's side. And the
Yeah.
more I think about it, the more I even listen to my previous interviews and some of the things that I say. Like I go back and listen to the words that I say so I can fall back on those words and say
Yeah.
whether I've changed my mind or not. Because I am human. I'll also change my mind on certain positions that I have. And the last time I left the show, I was like, you know what? Same thing as you. I think the upside and the ability to be a 25, 5-5 type of player in De'Aaron Fox makes him the person that, and being that this is such a point guard driven league, makes him
Mm-hmm.
should be the view as the franchise player. But then I keep
100%.
taking that step back. You know why the Kings had to go get out of Tyrese Halliburton and go get a two-time All-Star is because they needed to solidify themselves as taking a step forward, and they wanted to have an All-Star on this team, not next to their All-Star player, but because they wanted to take a step forward as a franchise, and they viewed Domantas Sabonis in that way. Domantas,
Or they had a bust chump in Bagley that never panned out. Or that too.
I mean, we could have said that about a lot of those players, right? Any of
Yeah,
those
but
players.
he's the number 2 pick though. I mean, that carries weight. No matter what you say about Thomas Robinson, Jimmy Fredette, bro, this guy was the number 2 pick in the draft ahead of Luka Doncic and Trae Young. That matters.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. All I'm saying is the step forward was to gain an All Star and was to put an All Star in
Sure.
Sacramento. And to put an All
Sure.
Star in Sacramento, you had to give away such a highly touted around the league and in Sacramento type of player and Tyrese Halliburton, who 1 year
He
he
was
would have.
highly touted after the trade. No one spoke about him before, and we all
Look,
know
look,
that.
look. We discussed this heavily, but what I'm saying is like that's the perception that is out there. They went out and they got themselves an all-star. They wanted an all-star in Sacramento. That's what they got. And now they got a head coach that puts the ball in the hands of their center to make passing plays and to make plays.
And he should.
And on top of that, they've already talked about how they want to see Domantas Sabonis be able to grab a rebound and take the ball up the court. We saw that plenty of times last season. If that's the case, maybe the person that is probably going to be controlling the offense, dictating who the ball goes to, maybe that's the guy we need to start viewing as the franchise player. Because like you said, accolades alone, that puts him ahead of it. You're going to make him be the main decision maker on offense. That's going to take another step forward to me. He's your most consistent scorer. You cannot deny that. He is your most consistent scorer. He's a
I don't know
walking
about that.
double-double. You don't
I don't
think
know
so?
about that. He's the most consistent scorer or a walk, because those are two different things. Because the best scorer on the team is without question De'Aaron Fox.
Yes, but the best scorer on the team. But because any given night, I've seen De'Aaron Fox go 5 for 28. You know what I mean? Like I've seen De'Aaron Fox shoot himself in and out of the
Sure.
game. Domantas Sabonis will shoot 50%, get 18 to 23 points per game, and get you 12 points. He's your most consistent scorer. If you need a basket, you give the ball to the big man. If you need to
Well, if
have
I'm
someone
not
pass it up,
mistaken, has Fox not averaged more points than him the last 3 years?
yes, for sure he has. But he's also who has had a winning record when they're the main guy with less points?
But with a much better team too.
I
So
mean, yeah.
we can always go back
I'll
to
put
that,
it to you like
right?
this: when I view Sabonis, the last thing I remember about Sabonis, other than the before leading up to the train that team was bad, I view that last season when the Indiana Pacers are sitting in fourth place in the Eastern Conference. They lose Malcolm Brogdon, they lose T.J. Warren, they also lose out on the Karis LeVert, and they're still staying afloat with him and TJ McConnell, still staying afloat until obviously they start to sink when Miles Turner goes down with that ankle injury.
Yeah.
And then it's over. It's downhill from there. But look, he kept them up there. He made sure that the team kept winning. And I think that I points are points. You have scorers on this team now. Now it's about putting in the guys that matter around the player that's going to be facilitating the offense. Arguably is going to be the most vocal player on the team because Fox, the biggest problem with him as well is we question his leadership ability. Domantas Sabonis may be walking into that role as well. So he's going to look to be the leader, the probably the main facilitator, the most consistent scorer on the team. Maybe we need the accolades. Maybe we
I
view
don't
him as
know,
the
man.
franchise player.
I don't know if maybe just because he can do those things and he's going to do those things where he's going to lead a break on multiple possessions, that doesn't mean that Fox won't do that as well. Like that doesn't mean that Fox won't push the ball, and that doesn't mean that the Kings aren't best when Fox is just running and gunning. Like we don't know that until we see the actual product on the floor. Right now, we're just guesstimating on what Mike Brown has done, bless you, in the past. So I, I don't know if that's enough to say, well, he's your centerpiece because he's able to do X, Y, and Z. When I can say the exact same thing about Fox. Like we've seen Fox be a Lamborghini under Dave Yeager, the fastest team pace wise in the league. We haven't seen that ever since Dave got fired. So
Yeah.
like what are we going to see from Mike Brown? Like is he going to change some things up? Is he going to fit his personnel, or is he just going to be like, I have a system and that's what that's what we do. That's what we're going with. We don't know that yet.
I think it's just more. I think they're obviously going to let Fox and even Sabonis, like I said, they want to see him take the ball off the rim and push it up the court. I think pace is still going to be the foundation for this Kings offense. But I think what Mike
Mm-hmm.
Brown
Has to
brings
be.
is the ability for them to run half court sets when
Right.
the pace isn't working anymore. And the ability to start getting stops when your offense just isn't going. But like I said, I think the one thing for the Kings that they have going for them is I think that they offensively are in it every single night. And the biggest reason why I believe that isn't because of De'Aaron Fox. In my eyes right now, and look, 2 weeks ago I was on De'Aaron Fox for this, but in my eyes right now, I see Sabonis. I'm like, he's going to be the reason. He's going to be able to get Fox being able to move downhill because of his screens. He's going to
Mm-hmm.
be able to get him on a backdoor cut. The ability to pass the way that he can. Oh, you need an easy basket? Let me go put my back against the basket. You know what I mean? Like Domantas Sabonis can do everything you need this team to do which makes him the heart and
100%.
soul of the offense. And I think that gives him the consideration into being the franchise player of this team. So,
But if this team is gonna take that next step, they need Fox to be that modern day star guard. Period.
you don't think the Kings take a step forward if we leave this season? Fox is still good, but we know him as a Robin and not a Batman. You don't think the Kings take a step forward?
I don't. I think he needs to take that step as the elite guard that I think he can be.
I think the Kings can still be good if De'Aaron Fox is shooting 35% from 3-point range, averaging 23 points.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's pretty good.
But if say he's averaging 23 points,
7 assists,
7 assists while shooting 43% from the field and 35 from 3. But
yeah, on the other playing hand, better defense, like
but
that.
On the other
like
hand, you have Domantas Sabonis averaging, let's say he's averaging 18 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and he's shooting like 52% from the field.
But how many points has he given up in comparison to how many points Fox is giving up? Like, that matters.
I mean, I guess that's going to matter because De'Aaron Fox's defense is something that he needs to address as well, because
he's the worst.
Yes, he's a very bad defender. And that's my biggest gripe with him moving into this season, is that you were known as a potential defensive monster. You have been given the nickname Swiper because of your steals, but now you've relied so heavily on getting those steals that it doesn't make sense anymore. You know what I mean? Like, your closeouts are horrible. You get lazy when the ball isn't going in. And these are real things. Like, it's not me taking shots at De'Aaron Fox. It's things that Mike Brown and this entire team has got to see on film, and they are going to have to address it. And it's a big thing for the Kings to see him improve on if they're going to take a step forward as a franchise. Same can go with Sabonis, but I think with Sabonis, at least positionally down low, he can at least handle that. He'll never be good in a switch. He doesn't have the lateral quickness for it. Never.
Exactly.
But positionally,
he's limited
solid.
Physically, and like Fox isn't, and that's what rubs me off the same way. I'm like, bro, you're more than capable of being elite if you really put the work in. But again, the last 5 years, the usage rate has been so high for him that, you know, like, he just hasn't put the effort there defensively. But he needs to do it if they want him to be good this year.
Quick ones. Who has a better record by the end of the season, the Portland Trail Blazers or the Sacramento Kings?
Sacramento Kings. Blazers have no depth, bro. Like, I'm looking at that roster. They have 5 good players, but they have nobody on that bench, and that's where the Kings beat them.
Kings finish 8th through 10 or 7 or higher?
Oh, that's tough, man. I think they finished 8th.
For the Kings, or for De'Aaron Fox to show improvement, he needs to average what?
25 points, 7 assists, and be somewhere in the 30th percentile on defense, and not like 1 percentile, which is the worst.
True or false? Keegan Murray wins Rookie of the Year.
False. Banchero does.
Interesting. I like that one. I think Banchero does too. I think Orlando is very interesting of a team.
Yeah, I do too.
What are they,
I do too.
What are they gonna do with Isaac? What are they gonna do with all them? True or false?
Trade Isaac to the Kings.
True or false? The Kings make the playoffs this year.
Undecided.
That's not an option. You can't add a third. It's true or false. The Kings make the playoffs this year. Stand on something. Stand on something.
Oh shit.
Ask the boy.
He says true.
Okay. He's already a Kings fan.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't break your heart like they've been breaking a lot of Kings fans out there, buddy. All right, last one. And this is tying into the Kings playoffs, but currently right now Vegas has the Kings sitting at 32.5 wins.
Over. I saw that. I'm like, over.
So I'll be honest. I've already made the bet. It's
Yeah.
It's locked in. I've made
They're
that
getting
bet.
at least 33. At
Do you know?
least.
Do you know that it's now heavily favored in the over, but they didn't change the line yet. So it's at like -125 for
That's good.
over, and it's actually plus money if you choose under. But why don't they just change the line?
So if I was that idiot that bet with 10 grand, you should have bet 10 grand on the over and
Yeah, you
not
bet
like the
10 grand on the Kings
championship
make
or
the
the
play.
finals.
That was making the playoffs, wasn't it?
No, it's to make the finals.
Yeah, if the Kings make the finals, then man. Okay, I'll put it to you guys this way: if the Sacramento Kings make the finals, I will shave my head bald, like everything. Like all this will go bald, completely bald.
Yeah,
I will go if the Kings. I don't even know. I'd probably do something else. I'd do something else. I'd buy at least 3 people, like damn near floor seat tickets to a Kings game the following season. Like that's how blown away I would be if the Kings made the finals. If I had $10,000 to spend, I still wouldn't spend that on no Kings making the finals, bro.
I'm spending 10 grand on my fish tank. That's what I'm doing.
So before I let you go, speaking of your fish tank, man, let the fans out there know what you've been doing this offseason, what they can expect for you coming into next season, and about your little reef channel that you got growing.
Yeah, man. So we just started the Fish Kingdom on YouTube. Make sure you guys follow us there and follow the journey. It's pretty entertaining. You're gonna get solid quality video production as you typically always do, just from Cowbell Kingdom, the brand. So nothing there would change. You know, we're going around
what's
stores.
What's the channel about? What's the channel about? Like, what are you going to be seeing? Are you interviewing people? Are you just showcasing yours? Are you trying to give tips and tricks on how to make it better? Like, what's on that channel?
It's just my journey, and it's going to be highlighting like the local reef stores, Rockland, Roseville, Sacramento, everywhere, right? Like we already went to 3 different spots. The first one came out, Aqualife in Rockland. Pretty good there. We're doing Aquarium Depot in Citrus Heights, right next to the gym that you go to. That's the biggest reptile and fish store in like NorCal, I think. Just showing love to everybody. I'm gonna have other reefers on. Like this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. A lot of people make money just selling like frags. You know, like I'm growing my own stuff right now. It's a very expensive hobby, but it's live art, man. And when you're in it, it's addicting. Like I just sit here with my baby. I'm just looking at my tank. I didn't even watch TV. I just watch my tank. It's a lot of maintenance, a lot of work. I was actually doing the water change before this, and
you sound just as passionate about your tank as you do the Kings, which is great to see. It's fun to see. What
I really do.
What stuff do you got going on for the Kings this season? Are you going to be at Media Day?
I'm going to be at Media Day on Monday. So just trying to balance the Reef Channel, the Kings, you know, the NBA, the NFL, right? Exclusively on Instagram, covering the Niners and the Raiders there. Yeah, it's going to be a very hectic season.
Yeah, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on, Leo. I know I can see you're on Daddy Dude. Shout out to the nephews right there, man. Show them off one more time. Show them off to everybody.
Let me see him, man. Let me see him.
There it is. Look at that guy, man. He looks just like you. He already looking just like you. All he's missing is that producer hat, bro. That's it. Actually, Leo, but look at this, man. You already got a question about your reefs, man. How much money is in the maintenance?
I don't know, but I'm at least 10 grand in like 2 years.
There you go. So you guys go check out that channel, Fish Kingdom. Leo, Cowbell Kingdom. He'll be at Media Day. He has the Cowbell Kingdom podcast, the Basketball Zone YouTube channel. You guys go check it out there. I'll be on that channel quite a bit this upcoming season. Still doing my daily picks. You guys go check that out. We finished with a 53.3% win percentage against the spread last season, guys. So I'm looking to do that. I'm giving final picks at NBABestBets.substack.com this season for the first month of the season. So through the month of October.
Some articles from Vince some dope ass articles from Vince Miracle.
Yep, I'll be writing through Media Day. So Media Day, I'll be having some written coverages through Cowbell Kingdom as well. So you guys be on the lookout for that. A lot of opportunities coming my way, both in my work life, my personal life, and my writing life. So a lot of things are developing here, guys. So stay close to youtube.com/SacKingsNation. Check out all of my guest channels, including the one here at Leo Beas. On Twitter, Beas Leo right there, as you can see there. Shout out to the sponsor, Raid Crushers, for always sponsoring the show. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate every single one of you that continue to watch this show on a weekly basis, sharing the show and addressing all these topics in the comment section below. I can't wait to talk to you guys next week, Tuesday, after Media Day on Monday. That's going to be a fun one. But until next time, Sacramento Kings fans, hit that likes button, hit that subscribe button, and peace.